I see the similarities with Max Verstappen and Thanos.
Oh wow. Okay.
Just
Um,
saying. We
no,
that's a
I like
separate
it. I like it.
that's
That's
it's a separate episode that we can do. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Revved Up Podcast. Thank you for joining us wherever you get your podcasts from. Thank you for watching us on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe, like, download, all of that. My name is Marwan Osman. I'm joined by the one and only Edgar O'Neill. Edgar, what's up, man?
not much, man. Not much. Just coming off that race.
That was, of all the races that we've gotten, that was definitely one of them.
Yep. One of the
So
two.
I'll just start with this. What'd you think? Fun?
I feel like I should give a disclaimer to people listening where I came in on the race late, so I was able to fast forward through the race and kind of pick and choose what I watched. So, but even then, yeah, it didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I'm honestly envious of you because that would have been the way to do it.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: going into this race, up until Q2, I was expecting Max Verstappen run away with this thing. Nothing really of note to talk about, but the universe saw it fit to throw us a bone. You know, give us something where he started P15. So at least we kind of had something to talk about, you know, going into the race.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, it ended up being a Red Bull 1-2. Sergio Perez, good for him getting the
Yeah.
win. You know, at least, I mean, do you think going forward that this is a recurring thing that we might see this battle, or was this just a one-time thing?
It feels like it's going to be a recurring thing.
Yeah,
I coming out of this race, if anything, I feel just a little disheartened for the season.
and I think that's generally the tone that everyone else is having after this. But I mean, there was some entertaining things, I guess, that we got out of this race, right?
Yeah. I
You know,
definitely have questions.
just it did provide us with some questions. I guess just watching Max Verstappen kind of just cut through the field, not unlike Thanos fighting through a bunch of the Avengers in
Oh,
Infinity War. That's kind of what it reminded me of, you know, just I see the similarities with Max Verstappen and Thanos.
oh wow. Okay.
Just saying. We
No,
that's a
I like
separate
it. I like it.
that's it's a separate episode that we can do where every F1 driver is a Marvel character. We'll keep that one in the back pocket for now.
Oh yeah. I
Um,
like that.
I'm sure you got a couple in the chamber for that.
Oh yeah. I'll
But
dig deep too.
no, I mean going into the race, last two Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. I mean this is the third one, but they were pretty entertaining. I mean we've
Yeah.
seen four. I think we saw four DNFs last year, and yeah, that's what gave me hope going into
Yeah.
the race. But I mean overall, it was, I mean, not the most entertaining race.
And it is one of my favorite tracks, but also that's because it
Yeah.
looks like a spoon or a ladle, really.
Yeah,
That's cool.
they made some changes, I think, this year that I guess impacted the race. They saw it was a little too crazy after
Mhm.
what happened the last two times. But I mean, do you think we just have to recalibrate what we expect an entertaining race to be with how dominant this Red Bull team is?
Maybe. I also, again, I've said it before. It really feels like the cars weren't ready. And there was when was it? There was a radio moment with Verstappen where he was like, "Hey, something feels off," and they came back to him and was like, "We're happy at the moment," and he was like, "Mate, there's something wrong."
That
So I mean, is
that
that could be plain, but
I guess there is a I guess the back and forth that Red Bull and Max have, where Max complains about the car as he's
yeah,
10 seconds ahead of someone. So I think that kind of played a role in there where they're just like, oh, Max complaining about the car as always. Let's just pretend like we're working on something to make him happy.
yeah.
But no, I mean it's what we've come to expect now from Red Bull. Not too surprising to see the 1-2 finish, but I mean we got speaking of these radio calls, I did actually think we got some fun moments there with Sergio Perez
Oh
and
yeah,
Red Bull. He was asking them about the strategy, and he got a little suspicious
yeah,
with them. I think that's. I mean, it gives us something to talk about, but it's never good when the radio calls are the most entertaining part of the race.
yeah. That's a fair point.
What do you think about the safety car? It was actually kind of like awkwardly timed. I think it came
Yeah,
lap 18. It kind of shuffled things around a little bit, but not really, I guess.
yeah.
Overall, not the most entertaining race, but we still have 21 more of these, so we're bound to get some fireworks at least. I don't know. Did you see old Mr. Verstappen, the senior
Yeah,
Jos Verstappen? He did not look very happy at Sergio Perez coming away with the win there.
yeah. To be fair, I just don't think he looks happy. I don't think that's his face.
That just could be his overall demeanor. We don't know,
Yeah,
but just judging by the stories we've heard, he doesn't sound like a pleasant man. But
yeah.
I mean, hey, maybe he's not happy with second place, and that's fine. I don't know if you saw this, but apparently Alonso had to give up the podium spot.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, what happened there? Because that took way too long, I think.
I will say that was kind of cool in the last few laps where they were like, "Hey," to George Russell, "you need to close like a 5 second gap," and then to Alonso, they were like, "Hey, we think you're safe, but you really need to push a 5 second gap."
Yeah, I mean, the problem though was that it took them so long after he served the penalty to come back and say, "Oh, he actually didn't
Oh,
serve it right." I mean, what exactly is the FIA doing there? I mean, it's
it's not like they had anything else going on
right.
to look at.
I guess enforce these rules that you're setting, especially if you're gonna have the teams self-impose these time penalties. I guess serve them on their own. I
Yeah,
don't believe there's any clock out there for them to follow. So if you're gonna do that, you should at least follow it a little closely and make sure they're actually doing it right. Do you think it would have changed anything towards the end of the race if he actually knew the penalty was coming? Because he maybe could have pushed a little harder and gotten the gap to 10 seconds, or maybe Lewis Hamilton would have pushed a little harder and gotten within 10 seconds
uh,
of him. But I don't
I
know.
don't know.
There's
I think when they told him to push, because I mean, like I said, they said the to push. They thought that they were clean. So I feel like he had the mentality that he was pushing anyway. So
Yeah, I don't know.
I
Shame
think that's
shame on you, FIA. We already don't really like you because
yeah,
you're a governing board, and your job is to just make us neutral on you, and
yeah.
that didn't happen this race. So let's talk about this Mercedes team, because I actually think what's going on there is legitimately interesting. That
Mm.
this internal battle that we're seeing with George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, plus the external battle against Aston Martin and Ferrari. So let me ask you this: who do you see at the top here at the end of the season, George Russell or Lewis Hamilton?
I mean, right now George Russell, um, because I think it was honestly watching Lewis get overtaken, overtook.
Something like that. I don't know.
Okay. Either way, that like I don't know, it was very that was the disheartening part. Like each time it happened, especially like on the straights, because like when you get passed on the straight, it is like, oh, that car's faster than you, and there's really not much else you can do. And it was just like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, overall it was a very solid performance by the team themselves.
Mhm.
Things They sent out this really weird letter to the fans, basically apologizing for how things are going, which is really weird considering that they've done okay so far, being a little melodramatic in my opinion. But
I don't know, man.
do you think it was warranted, the letter? If you're
I think I think these I don't know what's up with these cars because I don't know for some reason it reminds me. Did you see the AlphaTauri about the car, his car?
No,
He said that he was upset with the engineers because he felt like they lied to him.
wow, huh?
Yeah. He was like, we were working and they said it was great, but it's not great. So I don't trust them right now. He said he doesn't trust the engineers on his
Man,
team right now.
one thing I love about these principals and owners is that they are not afraid to call out their own team.
Yeah.
We do not see that like that here in American sports. Everyone is kind of scared, I guess, to call out anybody within the organization. But that is not the case in Formula One. But I mean, yeah, I think we are seeing that these cars are, I guess, struggling to adapt to some sort of new regulations that the FIA has implemented here. But no, back to Mercedes here. I think this internal battle that we're seeing between Lewis Hamilton and George Russell is going to be fun to watch throughout the season. Russell, great performance by him, right?
I think he's going to come out on top.
Yeah, honestly, I feel the same way. Do you think this is a changing of the guard type of thing here, where he's kind of taking that number one seat by force?
Yeah, I mean, there's also a lot of change going on with Lewis. You know, who Angela Cullen, his performance coach of 7 years, that's over.
Yeah, and I don't know, is he still good? Is Lewis Hamilton still good?
I think he's cleaning house to maybe trying to start fresh.
Yeah. He's been doing this for what, 19 years? I think it's fair to let him have a couple maybe down years or so when he's been at his peak for so long.
Yeah. But I mean, let's see if he stays with Mercedes too.
Yeah, that definitely is something to watch. Who would you like him to end up with if he leaves Mercedes?
I think it'd be hilarious if he went to Red Bull.
Yep.
That'd be hilarious.
Unlikely. What about back to McLaren? We see a swap between Lando and Lewis.
Yeah. He wouldn't win any championships.
That's true. Oh yeah, we're definitely going to talk about McLaren very soon. Don't worry about that. But no, so there is the internal battle that we're seeing with Mercedes, but they're also fighting Aston Martin and Ferrari. How do you see those three jostling? How does that end up, in your opinion?
I still want to say that Aston Martin's going to come out on top. Though, did they say what happened with Stroll's car?
It looked like a brake issue, I believe. They just told them to stop it right away, and they were spraying some extinguisher on it. So yeah.
Also, we were on that cam of his for a very long time when he was stopped. I don't know. Maybe I just know it, but I was like, we're just looking at him for a very long time.
It was weird. Yeah. I mean, I guess Mercedes did get somewhat lucky in this race with the penalty and Stroll with the DNF, and also the penalty for Charles Leclerc. Yeah. But right now, as it stands, they're holding on to that second spot in the Constructors' Cup, and I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to hold on to it. Ferrari has shown that they're still battling those demons of last year. I guess there was like a moment with Charles Leclerc and his engineer or his strategist, basically going back and forth talking about the strategy. It kind of just brought back flashbacks of last year, where it's like, oh, same old Ferrari. Okay. Do you expect Ferrari to maybe turn things around this year? It's still early.
Yeah, it's the second race, and it's still only the second race with a new team principal. You know what the best part is? No DNFs.
That's a win, I guess.
Yeah.
Just diving into these standings a little closer here. Yeah, Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc finished 6th and 7th there, which is, I mean, considering where they started and how things went last week, this is solid performance for them. But I don't know. Oh, and the two Alpines right there behind them. So I guess good for Ocon not having to serve a million penalties this time around.
Yeah, Yuki, I feel like he outperformed De Vries, which I'm kind of happy for. Because I feel like Yuki should be the lead on AlphaTauri.
Yeah, it should be. But I mean, I think De Vries was he kind of came. I don't know. He stepped up a little bit towards the end there. He ended up. I know there was a little battle at the end there with Oscar Piastri and Logan Sargent and Lando Norris, which was.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get to those boys. Albon, of course, with the DNF for Williams. Unfortunate there. I think it was a brake issue for him as well. So yeah, but overall, this is it's nothing really too out of the ordinary as far as these standings go.
I will say, no, there is something that I found very weird. What happened with Bottas?
Oh, yeah, actually, see, I have to admit that Bottas to me is always like it's turned into a bit of an afterthought. If he's not placing in the top 10, I just
Yeah.
completely forget about him.
No,
But
I understand, but like dead last, and
yeah,
with the problems that McLaren was having.
he did have to after his pit. He was just struggling on those tires. I think it was he ended up getting lapped. Only car that got lapped, I think. So
Ooh.
that's awkward.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate for old Valtteri Bottas. But no, so just going forward from this race, what would you say is the biggest takeaway that you have?
McLaren's crap.
Oh, mm.
Just
Well,
for this, for right now.
from right now, and we can have that. That could just be a recurring copy and paste. I could ask you this question after every race, and that could be
McLaren's crap.
your response. But no, that's unfortunate. I know you are a McLaren fan, so that's a fair takeaway to have. But
Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, it's kind of just confirmed that Max has this thing locked up, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's nice that we saw him not win a race, I guess, for once. But
He
this,
still is leading because of the fastest lap.
yeah. Oh, and that was another funny radio call there too.
Yeah.
By the way, he asked Red Bull, "Hey, what's going on with the fastest lap?" Red Bull, we're not worried about that right now.
I'm worried about
I
that.
am.
Yeah, I know that was pretty great too.
That was great. It was it's some awkward tension going on there with Red Bull. I mean, everything's going great for them. They're sipping on champagne on the fly right now, celebrating their wins.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Max probably isn't as happy as he could be, right?
I'm trying to. Do you think there's like one team that came out of this race like that could only celebrate? I guess Alpine. Alpine's probably like the only team where it's like, all right, everything went well for both drivers. We
Yeah,
came
I
out of this
mean,
great.
honestly, I think you could say that about Mercedes too. I think overall where they finished third for Russell and fifth for
Yeah.
Hamilton, that's a solid result, and they come away here second in the constructors' standings. So I think if you're Mercedes, you got to be pretty happy with how things are going right now.
Okay.
We'll see if there's any tension that arises though with Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, because that is definitely a battle that I think is honestly the most interesting thing to watch going forward for me personally. Um,
Okay.
but no, I think we've alluded to this. It's time. Let's get our McLaren talk in, our obligatory McLaren. And I'm just gonna
Yeah.
ask you, how close are you to jumping off this ship? You could be
I'm
honest. It's just
no.
us here.
I don't feel like jumping off the ship, and this hasn't. I never knew I was so loyal. Um, I'm just upset and sad. But I don't feel like jumping off ship. It's just I was even sad when they told Lando to back off because I was like, don't tell Lando to back off. But then it ended up being the right call.
I think they wanted to give their young guy a confidence booster there.
Yeah.
Oscar
But I mean, he
Piastri.
got like Lando couldn't get past Sargent, and Piastri was able to.
Yeah, similar to how we're talking about the battle for the second spot here. It's very close. The battle for the last place spot is also very close. We have two teams that have yet to score points, and that would be AlphaTauri and McLaren.
Yeah.
So I don't ask this to be patronizing, but do you think they at least beat out AlphaTauri and don't get that last place spot? They have to, right?
Like by the end of the season.
By the end of it sounds like a ridiculous question, but
No, I get you. I think AlphaTauri takes it
really,
based off the first two races. Yeah.
wow, how the mighty have fallen. Yeah, but hey, good for you and your loyalty.
Yeah.
That is something that we don't see very much of these days in sports, where it's so easy to jump ship. But
Yeah.
no, you're not doing that.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said it before, maybe Zach Brown does need to.
Do you think it's time?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean he took over in 2019, I think, as CEO. So it's going to be a little harder to get rid of him since he is the CEO.
Yeah.
I think he could throw out his what's his name, Andrea Stella. He'd
Yeah.
throw him out as a pawn, as a scapegoat, maybe to buy him some more time, and then see if he can turn this thing around afterwards. But no, things are not looking great for old Zach Brown
Yeah.
from Los Angeles, by the way,
I do.
Cali.
Actually, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, he
When you see
seems
the
like
way he acts. Yeah.
seems like it. Yeah, I don't know, but no. So we did talk about Oscar Piastri a little bit, and I will say there are some encouraging signs there. He looked great in qualifying, so I'll give him that. I think he qualified 8th or 9th, something like that. But no, I think if you're McLaren, you at least have to be encouraged that he seems to at least know what he's doing a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, last week did not go so great for him. DNF after 13 laps. So
I
at
don't know.
least he
I'm still
finished.
not sold on him. I'm still not sold on him.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is where did he finish? Let's see. I guess P15 is not the most encouraging
Yeah.
finishing spot for him, but overall though, at least he shows that he can finish a race, which is
Yeah.
a step in the right direction. You know,
Yeah. Oh, I guess this was his first race finish.
yeah, sometimes you gotta crawl before you can walk.
Well,
You know, that was a
so wise. God,
deep, insightful analysis that you only get here on the Revved Up Podcast. No, I think he's found himself in a tough situation with the team that he's on, but we'll see. Maybe do you think he's looking at Lando Norris like this is my future? This is what I have to look forward to, and he's just like terrified.
I hope not.
I hope not too, for his sake. But hey, home race coming up for him at least, though, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. For the
Yeah,
team too. Technically. Well, not really. Not really.
yeah.
Zachary's out in Britain.
Man, I just can't get over the whole issue that they had with this penalty. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Somebody at the FIA needs to lose their job. I'm
We're getting a lot of. Is this going to be the penalty season?
It feels like it, and I hope not. You know, who here is? I don't know if we have any fans of bureaucracy and governing boards out there. But if you are in for a treat this year. The FIA has said, "Hey, we are here too. We need some of this attention too." But no,
Alonso's not the villain this year. We are.
They're the villains every year, though. Apparently, no one really likes them, right?
Yeah.
But no, we'll see. We got 1 a.m. start time for us next week. That's going to be fun.
Do we go to bed, wake up? Do we try to stay up all night? You know.
I'm probably not going to be able to do that. I already know. I'm going to be asleep.
Okay.
1 a.m. Yeah, I'll be knocked out. So I know you got to take in some hockey action last night. How was that?
It was nice. All of the professional games that I've been to in the last year, it was my least favorite. Not to say that I didn't enjoy it, but like comparing it to the Jags game, like that was
the crazy game though. Yeah.
That was euphoric, honestly. That was just insane.
Yeah.
And I'd like the Cubs game a little bit more too. The stadium.
Maybe one of these days we might be able to add an F1 race to that list.
Yeah, sell some kidneys.
If we can drop $3,000 on some tickets.
Or again, I've told you my plan before. We kidnap people that already have tickets. We assume their identities. Crazy weekend. Figure out how to get out of it by the end.
You got to be warned about the digital trail that we're leaving here because this part's not getting edited out. So we gotta.
It's a movie idea.
Oh yeah, this is a movie idea. I forgot about that. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, but it'd be if F1 is kind of facing maybe an entertainment issue here with Red Bull just having this thing locked up. What would change that is if we look at hockey and adopt the fighting rule.
Ooh.
That after any crash, just let the drivers duke it out.
Yep. Throw off the helmets. They can go.
Yeah.
I like it.
Poor Nicholas.
It'll be like that clip that they always show of Michael Schumacher when he's like taking off the earbuds and walking over.
I think we should just do a whole segment one of these days on just crazy ideas to improve F1.
Yeah.
So crazy that they just might work.
And then when the FIA actually takes it, we sue them.
Yes, of course. Yeah, if we hear something about F1 drivers being allowed to box each other after a crash, to hearing from us, FIA. But thank you once again, everybody, for joining us for another great episode of the Revved Up Podcast. We try and do this thing following every race, so be sure to subscribe, like, download. Well, next up is the Australian Grand Prix in 2 weeks, so we will see y'all then.